Welcome to Fancounters. My name's Nick.
And I'm Elizabeth.
You can follow us on Twitter at Fancounters Live. Also Facebook by searching Fancounters. And we have a private group called Sharpie Nation where you can keep up with the show.
You can always email us at hello@fancounters.com.
We didn't say that last week. I just realized that.
Well, it's the only thing I'm authorized to say.
Well, we are a couple weeks here before Christmas. I have to get myself a brand new Christmas present because my favorite sports team, the Brewers, decided to change their uniforms.
They did, but it's their 50th anniversary, so they went retro.
And that's okay. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
The problem is I thought, I had my jersey forever, and the kids were not fitting into theirs anymore because they're growing. And I thought, well, this is the year. Let's go ahead and buy us new jerseys.
So you bought new jerseys
So we
this
did
year?
that.
Oh, sugar plum
Well,
fairy.
yeah, right before they unveiled new ones. So now basically we're not going to wear those,
shucks.
and we'll have to get all new ones.
Oh, goodness gracious.
But Christmas is coming, so
Yay!
there we go. That's probably why they did it. Cha-ching.
All right. So I have something that has absolutely, beyond belief, ticked me off.
Oh, man. Okay.
So as you know, most of you...
It's not that we're talking politics today, is it?
Well, it's on that same vein.
Oh, okay.
So as most of you know, we take long RV trips in the summer, usually the month of July. And Oliver is 3 years older than Lily. So 3 years ago, Oliver learned about U.S. history and all of the colonies and the Bill of Rights and all that fun stuff. So as we planned our kind of trips further out, we planned on doing the 13 colonies or the majority of the East Coast after Lily finished fifth grade, which is the time that Oliver did it.
Mm-hmm.
So years we've been kind of talking, we got to wait for Lily to finish U.S. history. She has to go through those classes because otherwise Gettysburg is just a giant lawn, right? You got to understand the significance of these things and all that went on to get us to this country. And I casually mentioned about a week or so ago to one of her teachers, I said, I can't wait for her to learn U.S. history, and I kind of would like to know what veins you're going to go down because I am starting to plan our summer trip now. And since we're not going to be able to do all 13 colonies, I kind of have to, combine it and hit the highlights. So what are you planning to teach so I can correlate that on the trip? She looked at me and said, well, the district has done a shift. And so we won't be doing U.S. history. We'll be doing geography and economics. And I looked at her and I said, when will my 10-year-old be getting U.S. history? And she looked at me and said, I have no idea. And so then I was like, now, wait a minute. Remembering I have a kid that's 3 years ahead, I know we didn't do it in sixth grade. I know we didn't do it in seventh grade. And I know we didn't do it in eighth grade. And so I'm a little bit concerned that my 10-year-old will be missing this entire section of her education. And to that, Lily came home last Friday and said, Mom, where's that red book that had been on this counter all year long? And it was Oliver's seventh grade social studies book that had been on the counter because I always ask for a hard copy, even though now everything is digital. And I said, well, Lily, that was seventh grade. We returned it. Oliver's in eighth grade and we have a completely different book. She said, well, that's the book I need. So we had to go back to school on Friday afternoon at 4:30. Thank goodness the principal was still there to let us in. Go upstairs, get the book, and bring it home. And we did a chapter on geography. And I said to the teacher, I'm a little bit concerned that not only is my fifth grader not getting U.S. history, my fifth grader is now doing seventh grade social studies.
Wow.
I said, this is the exact same book I just returned. So you have leapfrogged sixth grade and completely forgotten U.S. history. I said, I am now going to have to go to the district and talk to both the elementary and the secondary people and find out what the heck is going on. Because you paradigm shifted how we're going to do that, except...
You didn't tell anybody.
Well, not only did you not tell anybody, they may have at some school board I wasn't at, but what are you doing to make up this deficit? I mean, the teacher looked at me like, I don't know what you want me to do about this. We are teaching geography and economics. And I'm like, why does my 10-year-old need to know economics? I mean, supply and demand. Trust me, she'll figure it out. And I mean, I didn't get economics until I was in high school.
Right.
So,
Same here.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit concerned why you chose as a district to teach my child supply and demand, because I'm going to be pretty ticked if she gets micro and macroeconomics in fifth grade. why you chose to do that over telling me how we got here and what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Boston Tea Party and Gettysburg, what all this meant. They said, well, we hit the highlights on the wars. No, that's not really how this goes.
No, there's so much more.
And especially as a African American, I would like you to help her understand slavery. I would like you to help her understand how we got here and how we divided a country over a slavery issue and then united a country. You're missing a huge section of her education. And I guess I kind of need to go find out why.
Right.
So I'm a little bit ticked off. So I obviously will keep you informed if I make it to the district and find out from these two what the plan is or when you think my 10-year-old is going to learn this. But nonetheless, I have gone out and bought 17 or 18 books in a series called Who Is and Who Was, which are some of our favorite books that we have purchased in the years past to give us kind of insights. And I have bought the Bill of Rights. I have bought what is the U.S. Constitution,
Good.
What is Gettysburg, what is the Boston Tea Party. And so I will systematically be teaching my 10-year-old by Who Is and Who Was books the U.S. history that she will completely be missing. I don't understand that. And I'm obviously the only parent who's realized it because I can't.
Or you're the only one who vocally cares.
Well, that's true. But I don't know how any American in good conscience says it's completely okay that my child never got U.S. history.
Well, I think it's more important now than ever that we do teach U.S. history because everybody's trying to erase it. They're trying to act like people didn't exist and, ideas and things never happened. And look, we got to know where we came from so we don't repeat some of this horrible stuff that's happened.
That's correct.
And, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But it's good. Parents like you should be taking that role on if the school's not going to do it. It's our responsibility to our kids.
Yeah.
To make sure they know all that stuff.
She can't completely miss this whole section of the world.
For sure not.
No.
Well, today we've got a 12-year-old on the show. I met him in Minnesota. I was covering the Donald Trump rally, and I got a chance to meet him. I did tape some audio with him there, which was horrible because it was so loud. I thought, let's just have him actually on the show so he can tell his story. Phoenix is a kid reporter traveling the country with his dad in an RV. They have been to 44 states. They've been doing this since he was 9 in 2016.
Unbelievable.
His dad, Matt, has sold a company in order to make this all happen and give his son these experiences. So we're going to hear today about Phoenix's experiences and what he's found from people as he's traveled the country.
All I can think of is Oliver. Because Oliver, is 13, and there is no way that Oliver would be as eloquent and able to answer questions or come up with questions as well as Phoenix does. So I'm really excited to do this interview with him.
So to follow along, guys, go to phoenixrisinginamerica.com. You can see his YouTube videos. And what I want you to pay attention to when you're watching the videos is the fact that he doesn't just dust over things. If somebody says a generic statement like, Donald Trump has really affected my family. And they might go on and say a few more things, but he'll come back to it and be like, well, how is he affecting your family directly? Like he doesn't let them get away with anything, which is what I really like about him. After the interview, we are going to come back here and talk a little bit about my experience, what it was like covering a sitting president of the United States, which I had never done before. And I'll tell you what that experience was like from me.
Here is Phoenix Rising in America.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters with Nick and Elizabeth on the Podfix Network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours. If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom. Can I take a picture? We're going to, oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
Phoenix, welcome to Fancounters. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Phoenix, you and I met in Minnesota. We were covering the rally for Donald Trump and Mike Pence, who both showed up at the rally. I was very impressed because you had no fear of going up to anybody and talking to them about politics. So before we kind of get started with more specific questions, tell us about how your interest in politics started and how you started traveling the road covering various events.
Well, in 2016, during the primaries, I really enjoyed watching the debates. And I was able to convince my dad to get a old RV, and old it was, and we traveled for what was supposed to be a month, and doors opened, and we kept on going, and well, I'm still doing it.
So you are traveling around in an RV. Does your dad work remotely, or like are you independently a millionaire, or what's your story?
Well, my dad did own a home health company, and he sold that so we could do this.
Wow.
So we sold. He sold his company to do this, and we're starting to run out of funds, but we're probably going to have to stop soon. But I've really enjoyed doing it, and I hope to be able to keep doing it, but we'll most likely have to stop.
So, Phoenix, tell us how old you are.
I'm 12 years old.
And do you have any siblings?
I do have a brother, but he's in college.
Okay.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Minnesota. When I met you there, it was a pretty hostile environment. And I don't know how things were for you when you left, but why don't you tell us about your experience leaving the building that night?
Well, I decided I wanted to go outside and interview protesters during the rally because I heard there was going to be really big protests. So I did that, and it was pretty peaceful. When I started doing interviews, people are really nice, and they usually are. But as the night continued on, got later, it got a little hectic. Antifa was showing up. They stole the guy's MAGA hat, and then it ended up kind of chased him, and all the other crazy things happened. But it got kind of crazy. We left, one, because it was getting crazy, and two, I tried to get to bed on time, but it just doesn't happen. When
it's getting crazy, is your dad fearful at that point? Because I have to tell you, I saw people throwing rocks at police horses. I saw people filming other people, chanting things at them and yelling derogatory things, saying, this is what's wrong with America. And I'm thinking, lady, you're what's wrong with America, filming people as they're just leaving, So did you witness things like that made you afraid?
Yeah, it's not really a fear I have. It's something that it's more of an adrenaline. And I think it's sad that we're at this point in our country, but it's not really a fear when I go into protest. It's more of a interest of what I want to learn more than anything. So when I go do this and I interview people, and even when it gets crazy, I like to interview any person, even if they're acting, I guess you would say disorderly, but they still have the right to do so. Well, sometimes.
So you started this in 2016, so you were 9, and you decided to just pack up and go across the country and interview people about what was going on. Is that correct?
Pretty much. That's basically how it started. As I said, I convinced my dad. We did it because I found politics so interesting, and I wanted to talk to people about it, and it's kind of what we did, and it was supposed to be a month, as I said.
Now, do you get help crafting your questions? And I'm going to clarify why I'm asking, because I've seen your videos on YouTube, which you've got. I want you to promote your YouTube page, but you do not let up. If somebody gives you a very generic answer, you ask them for more details, specifically about how generic they're being. And I really applaud you for that, because that takes a lot of guts for being a kid to do that. So tell me about the crafting of the questions, and you're not being afraid to ask people anything.
Oh, thank you. And also, when it comes to coming up with questions, I'll have them planned out. If we're driving from point A to point B, I'll come up with them, write them down then, and memorize them. But sometimes I have to come up with things on the fly if it wouldn't be the best situation to use that question. I have to come up with questions a lot of times, right on the spot. And that's I have to do that a lot. But I like to plan out questions. but sometimes you can't always do that.
So where is your actual home base?
We are from Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
but
So
we're barely there anymore.
do you still have a house to come home to, or have you sold everything and it's just the RV?
We've pretty much sold everything, and it's just our RV.
Okay.
If we're in Dallas or if we're in town, we'll usually stay at my grandparents.
Okay.
Where are you now?
We are in Wickiup, Arizona.
Okay.
A
Okay.
small town in Arizona.
Is there
We're at this really cool restaurant.
is there an event there going on that you're going to be at later?
It's called Lunch.
I
cute.
meant a political event. Is there a rally or anything you're attending, or a speech or anything?
No, we were just passing through, and we have an
Okay.
RV park here, so we're staying the night.
Very nice.
But later today, I'll be in Phoenix for a debate watch party to talk to people at.
That's what I was getting at.
There we
Phoenix.
go.
You're very sharp, though. Very quick.
So you're for 12, you're pretty nonpartisan, right? You're really not there to promote one side or the other. You're really there to try to ask the questions of how is this affecting a normal everyday person? Is that kind of the gist of what you're doing?
Pretty much. That's pretty much how it is, and I just want to see what people think about America, basically. So put that pretty much as it is.
What has been your best experience so far? When you look back and be like, wow, this one is one I'll never forget.
It's really tough. Honestly, one of my favorites was the night before inauguration. They had protests in Washington, D.C., and they got kind of crazy. And I think that was one of my favorite reporting moments because I really got to talk to protesters. And there were actually some Trump supporters out there, too. And it was a really interesting night. It was one of my first protests, and that was probably my favorite point.
Now, how are you finding out about these events, first of all? Are you using some sort of website? How do you know where you want to go?
Usually I'll search for events. It's not really one website.
Okay.
I'll sign up for press lists for different candidates. Sometimes I'll go to a website that may have some events, but usually it's not really one website. There's different sources, I guess you could say.
Okay. So my next question is, Nick and I have been on the radio for long since you were born, 30 years ago or 20 years ago, however long it was. And we would get press passes or backstage passes to lots of things. How are you getting at 12 all this access to all these people?
Really, you kind of start growing a little bit more, and I started applying for things, and I got accepted to a lot of things. I remember my first White House press pass was in 2016 for the thank you tours, and that was really exciting because I'd never been accepted until then. But sometimes you don't get accepted, but a lot of the times we do.
That's
so
outstanding.
It's really growing.
He's got a fantastic business card. It shows a picture of you inside the White House press room. That's had to be a good experience.
It was a lot of fun. I got to do like a cool little private tour of the West Wing, and it was really, really cool because we got to see a lot of things such as the Oval Office. But I think the press pool was probably the White House press room was probably my favorite place, just because I would love to be there one day.
And you have met President Trump, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about your experience there.
At a thank you tour, I had the chance to take a picture with him.
All right. What'd you think?
It was exciting. I mean, I was 9 years old, and I got to meet the president, which was it was really cool for me. When my short interaction with him, he seemed like he would be a genuine person.
Okay.
But I would really just say it was really exciting for me. That's how I would describe it.
Excellent. Now, you're going to be at a debate watching party tonight. The Democratic presidential candidates are going to be back on stage. So does any candidate that you've followed, I know you've been to several rallies for the different people, any candidate stick out to you as one that you are interested in paying close attention to at these debates?
That's tough. I guess really there's every candidate you want to pay attention to. But I think you look at some of the front runners, such as, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren. But I also I want to look at those who we haven't heard a lot about in the news. I've talked to people where they want to learn more about people, but they haven't heard much. Some of the smaller candidates, so I would like to hear more about them.
So I want to go back to when you met President Trump, because his son Barron is almost the same age as you. So did he say anything about that? Like, that would have been something to connect the two of you together, that you would have been about the same age as Barron.
No, that was never brought up.
Okay.
It was pretty quick. I will say Barron is much, much, much taller than me.
Okay.
But I would say no, it was not brought up.
All right.
But it would have been an interesting conversation.
I would think, because I think he probably interacts with you well because he has a son your age.
Right.
Yeah.
It was actually, there was no cameras backstage, but he was taking pictures and selfies with police officers and troopers. So it was a relatively quick interaction, but it still meant a lot to me.
Yeah, that's huge. That's outstanding.
Definitely. One of the last questions I have for you is basically about who would you like to interview at some point? If you could get in a room and sit down and have a chat with maybe 1, 2, 3 people, who would make your top 3?
Oh, that's really tough. I would say the president.
Okay.
I would say the president. Man, an Antifa organizer.
Mm.
It's really hard.
I know.
Maybe I would say a foreign leader where it's of a country that's very controversial. I guess maybe somebody like the Ukraine president at this point, but it really depends on what's happening in the news. So I would definitely say the president.
Very topical.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I want to understand this. So you and your dad get in the RV and you drive to these places and you have these questions and you have press passes and you go into these events and you talk to all these people and you ask them all these questions. Then what? Where do these go? How do we see your interviews? What happens after you ask them the questions?
Well, we usually do more interviews, but no, when we go back and I'll upload them to YouTube, which is Phoenix Rising in America. But usually the soccer team will come up. But you can get to my YouTube through my website, which is phoenixrisinginamerica.com.
Okay.
And then also sometimes I'll post things on Twitter, which is my handle is at Phoenix Matthew. So it's really posted a lot of things. So very good. So it really depends.
All right, Phoenix, before we let you go, my last hard question for you. Being 12 in America, what are some issues that you as a kid think are super important that we should be thinking more about? Or what's important to you?
I think we as a country should be more united. I think we're divided, and that's going to take us way downhill. And so I think that's the biggest issue that would concern me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the biggest things, that if we can't work together as Americans, or, when it comes to politics as well, we'll fall. As Lincoln said, a house divided will not stand, and I think that's what I would say.
Okay.
I think you have a bright future, Phoenix. Thanks so much for joining us on Fancounters. You can go to Phoenix's website. It's phoenixrisinginamerica.com. He's also got a Twitter. He mentioned it. It's
at Phoenix Matthews.
You're an
Thank
awesome
you
kid.
so much.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
Y'all too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Our thanks to Phoenix for interrupting his lunch to join us on Fancounters this week.
Okay, seriously, what a little cutie. I mean, come on. As a mom of a kid that's the same age, I keep thinking about Oliver. There is no way that child would be that eloquent. There is no way this child could be doing work on the road, be moving from place to place and be as nomadic as they are and not really have a home base and really be out there living his passion. That is just outstanding for a 12-year-old, and let alone that he started when he was 9. Unbelievable.
Now, he had a little fedora hat on, and it had a press placard in it. And
cute.
That's what got my attention when I was up at the rally in Minnesota. I was like, wow, this kid is very interesting. I had to go talk to him. But let's talk a little bit about covering a sitting president, whether you like him or not. He is the sitting president, and I did go cover his rally in Minnesota. I got notification on the rally was on Thursday. I got notification on Monday that I had been approved.
Yeah.
But we weren't going to get details until Wednesday.
Right.
So Wednesday, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it says you must show up at the venue by 8 a.m. to check in. The rally wasn't until 7 at night. I thought I could leave Milwaukee at like
8 a.m. and take the 6-hour drive. Okay.
And get there by 3. No. So right when I got that email, I pretty much had to pack and leave for Minnesota. So I got a few hours of sleep, went to the convention center in the morning. On the drive-in, on the radio, there was reports of everybody who would be protesting outside of Target Center. And they had mentioned that Antifa was there, and they were going to be harassing people. And then the Oath Keepers were going to show up and protect the people going to the rally. And I thought, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
This is not going to be fun at all. And
well, that's why when you asked me if I wanted to go along, I was like, I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah, I was more nervous for my safety than anything. So I made the conscious decision to park about 0.7 miles away from the arena. I didn't want to be near there in case the streets were blocked and I couldn't get out.
Okay.
So I parked a ways away and I walked there. And basically you have to get there so early because you have to go inside the Target Center and set up your equipment. And then you have to leave.
Oh.
Because Secret Service has to come and do a sweep. They make you put a lens cap on your cameras while you're gone, or you have to tip them down to the floor so that you don't tape what's going on and how they do security and all of that, which was fine. I just thought that was interesting. So they kick you out for 3 hours, and then you can come back in. So once we came back in, it was just watching people, basically. I didn't want to go outside, and I think they let you outside so you could cover like people, but I was just there to have the experience. But the whole rally was fine, but it was in the middle of the rally when Trump calls out the press all the time.
Well, that's a lot of media. Look back there. That's a lot of media. They are so dishonest, and frankly, they are so bad for our country.
So you got 20,000 people booing at you.
Oh.
And I thought, man, we're going to get attacked leaving this place because he's pumping these people up to hate on you. So I was a little nervous leaving with my tripod and all my stuff because I thought, man, I'm going to get jumped by some guy thinking I'm with CNN or Fox
important
News or somebody.
Other than Fancounters.
I'm just a guy hosting a podcast talking to celebrities. I'm not the person you should be targeting. But they don't know that because, they're so pumped up or whatever. But that wasn't the case at all. What I found when I walked out of the building was that there were so many people protesting outside that were so angry that people would even come to that rally that they were attacking the people that were leaving.
Oh.
There was one woman that I mentioned in the interview. She literally held her cell phone and she was filming people as they were leaving, instigating things like, you people are what's wrong with America. You show up and you support this president. And she doesn't know whether they're supporting him or not. They might just be there for the experience like I was of seeing a sitting president. It didn't matter whether or not they were supporting him or not. They got picked on and they got, harassed on the way out. So I was like, I remember when I was in Madison, Wisconsin, when I was a kid doing a drama program. And the director of the drama program's like, we have to walk to and from where we're staying to the theater. And she's like, just head down, walk with purpose. Act like you know where you're going, even if you don't. So I kind of channeled that inner child, and I was like, all right, head down, walk with purpose, keep going, straightforward. And got out okay. But I did witness people throwing rocks at police horses.
Yeah.
I saw people just the nastiest behavior you could imagine. It was so sad. Why do we have to be like this,
I don't know. That's why we try to stay away from politics.
We do. Oh, totally. But, I couldn't pass up the fact that we don't get anything out of this show, so we might as well use our access
we get press
for a time or two.
Things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I might as well go up and do this because who knows the next time.
Right, you're going to get to.
We're going to get close to a venue where a sitting president is. And it was very interesting to cover.
Right.
So that was my experience. I'm alive. I didn't get hurt. I found my car. I drove out just fine and got home okay.
If you'd like to email about this experience, you can email us at hello@fancounters.com.
We will not have more political shows. I'm pretty much promising that.
Yeah, we're pretty done. Well, we may have some more discussion about what's going on in U.S. history, but other than that.
Yeah, U.S. history, I'm a very strong supporter of. Everything else, I'm kind of.
We don't care.
We see what happens.
We just don't care. We care, but we just don't. We don't need to.
We're going to wrap it up for this week. Phoenix, thanks for joining us on the show. It was very interesting to talk to you. You were a very great young man to meet. I do wish the best for your future. And I think he could be the nonpartisan reporter that this country is missing.
That's right. He's going to go far.
Yeah, he's a great kid. So thanks, Matt and Phoenix, for joining us on the show this week.
All right.
You want to email us, Elizabeth? Has the email one more time?
At hello@fancounters.com.
I feel like this is a complete mess.
No, I feel like, well, the politics is a complete mess. So I think it's indicative of what's actually going on. So just wrap up the show and let's move on.
Bye, everybody.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Minnesota. Thank you.